All right.
Which I think you can do.
All right, we live.
So, but you gotta send them that link. I don't know where to get that link. Oh, the three dots right here.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it.
Yeah. We started. Look for it. Do the regular live now.
Is this the link right here?
Yes, I believe
okay.
so.
Do you have how are you gonna advertise it?
I could probably go into the other one. Let me just make sure this works. Yep. So that's us right here. All right. So let me go to the other one. I'll go to here. Oh, do you want Pellegrino?
Oh, good. Yeah, you're trying to tell them the new link, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to them right now.
Okay, I'll put it in my Telegram as well.
Okay.
So once you post it, I'll do it there.
Cool. Coming. So we have here. I'll say.
Okay, so I need to copy this. So just put it on myself. So watch. Can you go back to the other one?
This one right here?
Oh yeah, I just need to see the link actually. Just the link that you sent out. Yeah. So what is it? YouTube.
YouTube dot.
Hold on. UTUD.
Give me a text it to you?
Yeah.
Alright. Let's see if I can sign on real quick.
It's okay, I can just do this.
Oh, yeah.
KCSNN and then GAQDU, right?
Yeah, GAQD, capital U.
KCSNM GAQDW. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, see. Smart.
Oh.
I'm gonna do that.
Oh. All right, well, people are here.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, welcome, everybody.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
What up? All right, we had a little bit of technical difficulties here, but this is Richard.
This is for me, right?
Yeah, it's for you. So
Thank
you can pop that open, got you some
Perfect.
some water,
Yeah.
some Pellegrino.
Nice, nice.
Then,
now we're all set.
Yeah, so we'll jump in. Where are you from originally?
I am originally from China. I still consider myself being from China, actually.
Oh, so you're born in China?
I was born and raised in China. I came to US as a teenager.
Okay, which part?
I was born in a city called Wuhan, and I grew up in a city called Shenzhen.
Oh, Shenzhen. Do you speak Cantonese?
I speak Cantonese.
Oh, Okay.
I was speaking Cantonese a little earlier today with someone else I was interviewing, but
oh yeah, my Cantonese
I got a little practice.
Yeah, my Cantonese is Mamade, but
it sounds pretty good. It's pretty legit.
Yeah. So I've been to Hong Kong for a little bit.
Okay.
So
I kind of gathered from your last name.
Oh yeah,
it's Cantonese. So.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up, like between here and over there?
It's pretty different. So I mean, I came at a pretty young age, very impressionable age, right? I came when I was 14 years old, so I guess I adapted pretty quickly. I consider myself fairly bicultural, so it's pretty easy to switch. So with VITE, it's actually my first kind of job where I have to go to China quite a bit. So it's interesting to get kind of reconnected with my roots, if you will.
Did you get that 10-year visa?
Oh, I'm not a citizen here. I have a Chinese passport, so so that makes it easy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
hopefully they won't change the laws. I get to stay here.
Yeah, we'll just hide.
Might have to, yes.
So tell me, like, what are your hobbies? Like, I know we're here to talk about VITE, but I think more importantly, I want to kind of know what kind of person you are. You know, like, what do you do for fun?
Yeah. So I'm a runner. So I haven't been doing a lot of that lately because of this being COO of a company. But
Yeah.
but I like running. I used to run in high school. I ran in college, so I do a bit of that. I have a 1-year-old son, so I play with my son quite a bit. Yeah, so to be honest with you, like I don't do much running now because of the family obligations and work.
So you have a wife, you have a kid.
Yeah, I have a wife, I have a kid. I don't have a dog, so I don't have the perfect American dream yet.
You have that white picket fence.
No, not yet. So, but yeah. So I don't know. Pretty simple person. Nothing complicated. Yeah.
That's great. What is your day-to-day like? What do you do every day? Do you live here, right?
Yeah, I do. I live in Silicon Valley. I get up and I to be honest with you, I do a lot of work.
Yeah.
But outside of work, I'd say I spend a lot of time with my family. I hang out with friends from time to time. I got a brother he travels a lot, but we get on the phone and talk. I go out to movies, just like any normal person. But work has been pretty time consuming, but it's been pretty interesting. So recently, as our loyal followers would know, I've been doing quite a bit of AMA. So it's a lot of preparing and also just getting used to the limelight, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, do you have any questions for me? Anything you want to know about me before we start? I'm gonna jump right in.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I noticed your IMDb profile. So I know you're from the film world. I can't say I know too many people from the film world actually. So it's really interesting to meet you and talk to you.
Yeah. So I've been working.
I actually saw a bunch of your videos with the explanations and the computer graphics, the infographics, and they look really good.
Cool. Yeah. I have a team back at home. That's not just me. Our director Gio, he does a lot of animations. We have a lot of people on our team, so it's a full production company, and we're trying to do some of the best quality videos out there. That's why you see in this frame right here, there's lighting in the back, and there's like front lighting and everything, and sound is good, and so we just gotta make sure everything is high quality. Yeah. Just like our projects, right?
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Cool. And so just before we get started, I just want to know, so from a promotional standpoint, I do understand why you guys are doing the airdrops.
Yeah.
But from us, I want to make it clear that that we will not take airdrops just because Cryptonauts will not take it because of the fact that it may seem like we're shilling this project. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So just a discretion for everyone out there that, you're free to reach out to our audience for sure.
Okay.
But just for us in general, we do not accept it just because we want to believe in the project, not because of the giveaway.
Sure. Okay, no problem. One more for them then.
Yeah, exactly. So feel free to give them, as much as they want.
Okay. Wasn't planning on giving you guys anything anyway. So.
Oh, I knew it. Okay, cool.
I'm Chinese, remember?
All right, that's right. Hey, me too. Okay, so
but sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so you are the CEO. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does your job include? What do you do?
So as the chief operating officer, I basically am responsible for helping run the organization. Our CEO is the kind of the technological heart and soul. He runs our engineering team. He is responsible for almost all the content on the white paper, along with his co-authors. But outside of our engineering development, there's a lot of work in terms of building business relationships with other blockchain companies that might want to collaborate with us. There's a lot of getting people to find out more about us, building a company culture, building a brand awareness. So I guess anything outside of engineering, I'm kind of responsible for.
Okay, so you mentioned brand awareness. I'm going to piggyback off that. What are some adjectives that you want your brand to be known as? If you had to give me like 3 to 5 adjectives.
Okay, that's a great question. So number one, I think we want to be tech driven, and I know that sounds sort of obvious maybe, because after all, we are a blockchain company. If we're not tech-driven, what are we? I would just say that I think there's a lot of projects out there that might not be so tech-driven. It's more marketing-driven. For us, we'd like to spend most of our budget on actual R&D. So our model is actually, let's create something cool. At heart, we're a bunch of nerds that think that we can contribute and make something interesting in the blockchain space. So maybe another adjective would just be like the first one's tech-driven. Maybe the second one is nerdy. I don't know. I think that's the same as the first one. I think maybe a third one would be like low-key. I know that's sort of in contradiction with the fact that I'm doing all these AMAs, but at least, but I think it's important for us to tell people what we do, just not in a fancy schmancy way. So for example, with our whole airdrop program, we're calling it the community reward program, because we want to attract followers that are really interested in us, that really understand us, that are not just trying to kind of make a quick flip. So one reason why we decided not to do a crowd sale, there's many reasons for it, but one reason is that we think it's important to, so because we looked at past crowd sales and we realized that in a lot of the cases, number one, the institutions get in at a very low price, they get huge bonuses, and then when it comes time for the crowd sale, there's a huge premium, and then the true enthusiasts, aka the people that purchase at the crowd sale, ultimately actually don't get a fair opportunity. And then when the tokens get listed on the exchange, the tokens actually drop in price due to sale from the institutions. So with us, we gave 0 bonuses to any private investors. Every institutional investor, every investor from the private round actually got the same deal, no discounts, no bonuses. So that's number one. Number two is that we do want to attract long-term followers. So we just thought that to the extent that we can cut out the speculation from a crowd sale and find people that are willing to do certain tasks, that are willing to follow our AMA, to learn about our technology, answer quizzes, to translate our white papers, to do designs for art, to design artworks that will be beneficial to us, and so on. Right? Some of these will be released later, but I think those are loyal followers that we want to reward. So sorry. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying we want to kind of attract long-term followers. Yeah, actually, that's not really an adjective in terms of brand name, but I think it somehow ties into the whole tech-driven, low-key perspective.
Right, and we will answer your questions, guys. But for right now, I just have a few of my own. I want to get out of the way. So one of them is also, what does VITE stand for? How did you come up with that name?
Oh, so VITE is French for fast. So we don't have anyone from France on our team. Maybe we're rooting for France for the World Cup. Actually, we're not. We're rooting for Croatia.
Croatia.
Yes. Because we're trying to create a high-performing public blockchain, and one characteristic of high performance is speed. So that comes in the form of throughput and high throughput and low latency. Right. So we picked VITE because we thought it was a cool name.
I see. And so the logo, it reminds me of like a triangle or an arrow. Is that?
Yeah. It's a V, but it also looks like an arrow. So it's just the symbol for speed.
Okay, cool. And so my next question, here we are. What is your mission statement? If you had to say, what is your goal? What is your vision for VITE in 5 years, 10 years? Let's talk about long term.
I see. So our motto is let's create something cool. At heart, as I was saying, we're just a bunch of geeks, and we just want to develop something interesting in the blockchain space. And I think our long-term goal is to have useful distributed applications being developed and deployed on our public blockchain. If you think about public blockchains like Ethereum or EOS as, say, an information highway, then the highway is only as useful as the cars that ultimately get to run on it. Right. So now in order for many cars to want to run on the highway needs to be flat, needs to be wide, needs to be not congested. It needs to charge people, very low tolls and so on. So we're building that infrastructure. So I think our vision is to try to get applications to be to come and be deployed on our system.
Okay, cool. So who would you say are your biggest competitors? I saw that right here. Who are your strongest competitors? Who do you feel like is actually in the space that's competing with you guys?
Oh, there are many. Fortunately and unfortunately. I think fortunately in the sense that that means there's a lot of people propelling the technology, pushing the space forward.
Right.
So any public blockchain would be a competitor. At the same time, I would narrow our immediate competitors to be the ones that are using the DAG technology, directed acyclic graph technology, because it is a new way of organizing the ledger that is high performance. So some examples of that would be Nano, IOTA, Byteball. And then there are some newcomers out there. We recently came across somebody called Constellation Lab.
Oh, I know that.
Another one called Phantom out of Korea.
Yep.
So, but I'm not sure about Constellation Labs, but Nano, IOTA, and Byteball, they're not doing DAG plus smart contract, and we're doing that. So we're well aware that we actually are inspired. Our idea is inspired by Nano, right? And we think it's high performance, but it doesn't have the smart contract mechanism built in, so we're trying to do that. Separately from that, we're also introducing a concept of snapshot chain, which is a way to address the deficiency problem with DAGs, or in particular, the block lattice architecture for DAG.
Okay.
I can get into
I'm going to cut you off right there because we're going to get into that soon.
Okay.
One question that somebody asked I saw earlier, how many people are on your team right now? For me, team is really important. That's why I kind of want to talk to you more about who you are as a person, because I want to believe in you before I invest in the project. If I don't believe in you, I'm not going to believe in the project. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter how good the tech is. If the leaders are not good and the team is not good, they don't get my vote.
Right. I agree. So, yeah, I mean, we can't do this alone. So if we want to attract top talents to do this, we have to be fair to our people. We have to have a culture that supports our people. So we have two teams. We have a team in Beijing, a team in Silicon Valley. Altogether, we have about 13, 14 people now. So we actually recruited quite a few more, but most of them are in China, and it's taking a while for them to resign from their current companies. A lot of these are engineers that are employees at major tech firms in China, and because those firms have serious KPIs, they hate to see attrition. In some cases, some employees have to go on a long vacation with their current firm just to work for us. It's very bureaucratic with some companies.
Yeah, it's a lot of politics and stuff like that. But
right.
I'm glad you guys have good stuff.
Yeah, so we have 12 engineers, product managers, and QA, and I would say they are our core, the heart and soul of the development R&D.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's jump into the next section. This is the part where it's for our viewers. Our audience is actually the general audience, and it's for new people who are not really into crypto yet, and they might not know. So maybe you could treat me like I'm 12 years old, right? Okay. I'm a little kid. How would you explain to me what this project is?
Okay, I see. Well, so I think to explain what VITE is all about, we might need to explain what blockchain is all about first.
Okay.
So, but the whole idea of blockchain is a way of making transactions without a central authority. So historically, the way it works is that you have some central institution or some middleman that effects the transfer of money, because that authority has the ledger, it has identity information, it's a trusted party, it's not hacked, it's supposedly not hacked, and it supposedly won't abuse its power, right?
Right.
But everything I just said is just an assumption, right? So it could be hacked, it might abuse its power, it might not act in the best interest of the parties that do transact. So the idea of a blockchain is that it's a new way of organizing the payment system such that a central authority or a middleman is no longer needed.
Okay, so that's what Bitcoin created. Bitcoin was the innovation for that.
Correct. And then came Ethereum, and Ethereum, I think it introduced many innovations, but one key one for me is the power of smart contract.
Okay.
It's basically a way of saying, I can now, if I want to do a transaction with you, but the transaction is contingent upon certain conditions being true, then I can write a piece of program called a smart contract,
right,
which upon the certain condition being true, the payment will be provided in certain amounts. Like, for example, I could give you a bunch of tokens and I say you can't sell them until, July 15th or something.
And you can write that in the program.
I can do that in the smart contract. So what I described could be done even without the blockchain framework, but Ethereum was able to introduce that on top of the blockchain framework.
Okay, so that was the innovation for that.
For them, right? Well, Ethereum did a bunch of other things too, but for me, I feel the introduction of smart contract is key.
Okay.
Okay, so now what are we doing, right? So VITE is basically saying, okay, I see you Bitcoin being useful, I see you Ethereum being useful, but we feel the performance can be improved. So, for example, just not too long ago, there was a very fancy, popular app called Crypto Kitties or something. And then
Crypto Kitties, all right.
Right. So you can breed your own cats and you can buy souvenirs, you can trade them. And it was so popular, it was issued on the Ethereum network, so popular it clogged up the whole system. And recently, another example is that an exchange called Fcoin is encouraging users to basically sign up an account and deposit certain tokens into their account in order to vote for a certain token to be listed on their exchange. Right. So like if our fans want VITE to be listed on Fcoin, they need to open an account with Fcoin, deposit the VITE in there. And if there's many accounts doing the same thing, then we get listed, right? Anyway, the point is that clogged up the whole system as well for Ethereum. So I mean, going back to the highway analogy, it's like there's a lot of congestion, right, on the highway. And if you want to bypass all these cars, you have to pay a huge amount of gas.
Right.
And as more transactions happen, this is called a scalability problem. This issue will only get more serious.
Right.
So VITE is trying to basically say, okay, we're going to take what's best from Ethereum and we're going to improve upon other aspects. And the way we're going to do it is with this DAG technology. And we're also going to add smart contract to it because smart contract is what's emblematic of Ethereum.
Okay. So before we move forward, there's a question that I saw maybe 3 times. Will you guys have master nodes?
Yes. So I think what the question is referring to is like supernode or delegated node for making decisions. So the idea there is this, right? So there's this concept of proof. So there's this consensus algorithm, right? Because the whole point is if the system is not decentralized, somebody has to say, oh, this ledger is correct, right? Like I can claim I have X dollars, but I might be lying or it might be wrong. Someone has to have that ledger, right? And consensus algorithm is the way for people to agree that, okay, this version of the ledger is correct. So proof of work is the consensus algorithm for Bitcoin. Proof of stake is for Ethereum. And there's something called delegated proof of stake. And the way it works is that a number of representatives are being selected to vote on like the right version of the ledger.
So that's like EOS or Cardano, something like that.
EOS, yes. So EOS definitely has that.
Okay.
So we also have a consensus algorithm, and it's called hierarchical depots or delegated proof of stake. So
hierarchical meaning there's layers.
Correct. And the reason why we have layers is because this gets into the whole snapshot chain.
All right, let's jump in. Yeah, give it to me. I'm 12 years old, though. I'm 12.
Yeah, you're very smart 12-year-old, though, right? They're precocious. Okay. DAG is a wonderful structure, so let me explain that a little bit, right? So DAG also comes in many forms. IOTA has its own DAG. Nano has its own DAG.
Right.
So we inherited our technology from Nano.
Block lattice.
Block lattice, yes. So block lattice is the following. every account has its own blockchain. So instead of having one blockchain, you have n blockchains, right? Plus one other chain, which is snapshot chain.
So I have a blockchain, you have a blockchain, Jonathan has a blockchain, Phil has a blockchain,
Mary has a blockchain, everybody does.
Yeah, everybody has a blockchain. Okay.
Right. And so the way it works is that to the extent that there's a transaction involving you, whether it's a send or a receive, right? And this is, I'm talking only payments right now, but I'm going to expand the concept into smart contract a little bit later. But if we're only talking payments, a payment can involve you as the sender or the receiver, right? So we're going to break that into two legs, the sending leg and the receiving leg. And then we're going to append that leg of the transaction onto the related blockchain. So for example, if you were to send Mary something, then that transaction will be broken into two pieces, right? So the send will be appended to your blockchain, and the receive will be appended to Mary's blockchain.
So send goes to me, and then whatever I send goes there, and these are tied together.
So these have a relationship with each other, yes.
Okay.
Right. These are because these are effectively one transaction. They're just two different sides of it, right?
So each transaction has two throughputs.
I would call throughput. I mean, like two legs or two parts, if you will.
Got it.
So the question is, why set it up like that? Well, one benefit of setting it up like that is that so if I were to send something to you, and let's say Jonathan were to send something to Rachel, these transactions can be recorded onto each individual, the blockchain related to us. So like Jonathan's transaction doesn't have to wait for our transaction to happen before before his transaction gets recorded, right? So I'm giving you money, and Jonathan's giving Mary money. Like the transactions can be both recorded simultaneously because we're on two different chains, right? Like, so that's the whole point of the block lattice infrastructure.
Okay.
Because every account has its own blockchain.
Okay, so to recap, you said we each got our own blockchain, so it's kind of like, there's people waiting for the bus right there, right? So Bitcoin is like we talked about.
It's kind of like everyone's waiting in one line for their respective buses. I can't, so for example, I'm waiting for line A, you're waiting for line B.
And I'm in front of you.
And you're in front of me, and line A comes. I'm like, okay, I want to get on. I can't because you're there. You're at the head of the queue. So I gotta wait. So I gotta wait for line B to come, and then you get on. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the next line A. But the way block lattice is organized is that we each stand in our own line. So as soon as line A comes, I can get on as long as I'm at the head of the queue. Right? Same thing with you. So obviously it's a lot faster with the DAG framework. Okay,
so I do see the point of each of us having our own bus passes, but what happens, because the blockchain is long, the longer it is, the harder it is to hack, correct?
Correct.
So what would happen since we all have our own bus passes and say I only took the bus twice, this month? How do you guys protect yourselves from that?
Right, exactly. So that's the whole point of snapshot chain. The idea there being if an account has very few transactions, then it doesn't benefit from the whole concept of blockchain, because a blockchain is powerful. As time moves on, it gets harder and harder to tamper with a given piece of block. But if you only did two transactions, your block is short, right? So theoretically, I could go and then make changes, and it could be a very easy process. So in order to increase or decrease the tamperability of the system, we introduced the concept of snapshot chain. When it does the following, it's another public blockchain, and the system will take a picture or a snapshot of the most recent transaction of each individual account every X seconds, and it would concatenate all the most recent transactions and produce a block, right? And record that new data into the block and push it onto the snapshot blockchain. So effectively, the concept of blockchain is now brought back into the DAG framework to ensure the integrity of the data. Because now what happens is, if you want to tamper with a certain block of data off of an account, off of a public blockchain, off of a blockchain for a certain account, let's say for Mary or for Jonathan, you also need to change the data on the snapshot chain, right? And because as the snapshot chain gets longer, then the tampering of that becomes harder.
Okay, is it an actual picture that like actual JPEG, or what do you mean by snapshot from a technical standpoint?
Yeah, so it's not an actual image; it's the concatenation of the transaction hashes that take place and subsequently get pushed onto a block that get placed into the snapshot chain.
Okay, so let me just draw you a picture of what I see. You can tell me if it's wrong or right.
Okay.
So from what I gathered, what this project is it's one long blockchain. The snapshot chain is the blockchain, which is one at a time, but each block has its own DAG tree that can. So it's like it's a blockchain of DAGs. Is that correct?
It's kind of like that. It's a blockchain of. It's a blockchain of a bunch of results that came out of a DAG. I guess in short, you can think of it like that. Yeah.
Okay, but on a technical, there's more to it.
Yeah, there's more to it, but I think you're on the right path.
Okay, cool. So I understand what that is. So that's your own platform. That's your own. How far along are you guys building this project?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a MVP by the end of the year, and then we'll have a test net out. It's going to be public, and people can play around with it. It's going to be released in 2019, towards the end of 2019, and then we're going to have a mainnet by early 2020.
Okay. And actually, Byron just asked a good question. He said, wouldn't the snapshot chain be just like the blockchain ledger? Sounds like the same. Are they the same or are they different?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the snapshot chain is similar to an actual blockchain, but it's different in the sense that it's used for confirmation of transactions. So for a transaction to be recorded, so the transaction gets recorded, and then there's a process for confirmation of that transaction. So for a short period of time, you're absolutely right. The transaction is recorded, but not yet confirmed. And theoretically, at that point, the amount of tokens in your wallet or the state of the system is not stable. So theoretically, there could be like a rollback that needs to happen, but that amount of time would be very short. But that's a great question.
Okay. Do you use sharding?
We don't use sharding. So sharding is a technology for basically improving the performance of a public blockchain. So companies like Zilliqa have done it. So there are different ways to improve the performance, and we decided that we're just going to focus on one shard, and then within one shard implement a system that has the highest performance. Okay.
Those are great answers. So token metrics, let's talk about that. How will let's say I have one V token, what good would that be? What does it do? Is there a functionality to it? Stuff like that.
Sure. So with a V token, you're allowed to do multiple things with our system. One thing is you can process transactions, right? You can basically send payments and so on. Now, so every user is given a certain allocation of transactions per second. So for lightweight users, they can just use that TPS for free. For heavy-duty users, if you want to send many transactions for each second, then what you need to do is you need to spend VITE in order to get more of those tokens. And then if you have VITE tokens, you're not in a hurry to use your transaction. You're not in a hurry to process transactions. You can stake the token, meaning you keep the token and then you say, I'm not going to use it for X amount of time. And then you can actually accumulate more transactions per second to be used, a quota of transactions per second to be used at a later time. So, but in short, it's basically a way of using the system for transactions. And transaction is kind of a broad concept. It can be payments, it can be execution of smart contracts.
Okay, so you guys are actually integrating the DAG technology with smart contract technology.
Yes, that's right.
That has never been done before.
To my knowledge, has not been done before, yes.
That's quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's actually pretty difficult. So that's why our development cycle is long. I mean, there's two parts to it, right? So there's getting it to work, and then there's getting it to be quick, right? So I think that to get it to work, I don't think the I don't think it's that difficult, but to get it to be high performance, that requires a lot of calibration and a lot of tweaking on our engineering side. So that's why we need top-notch engineers, and that's why we've been careful in the hiring process. But I think we have the right team to do it.
Okay, and so just a prediction: how many transactions per second do you think you guys will reach? I saw that in one of the questions.
Man. Okay, yeah, it's always asked. So
everybody asks you this all the time.
No, TPS, right? So okay, so TPS is so the short answer is we can't disclose that at the moment because TPS is a headline number. So there will be projects or systems that say, okay, we can achieve certain amount of TPS, but there's always a lot of fine print associated with it. For example, what is the level of security of your system? What is the level of scalability of your system? So for us, we want to take all that into account before we make a certain kind of claim. So unfortunately, I can't say anything more than that.
No worries. We'll keep our mouths shut. And I saw a question earlier. Your programming language is Solidity++?
Yeah, that's right.
Why did you choose that one?
So Solidity is the programming language for Ethereum. So to program a smart contract in Ethereum, that's what you would use. And we are maximally compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine. So that means programs written to work with us mostly will also work on Ethereum. So basically, if you're an Ethereum programmer your whole life, or for the last 3 years, I guess.
Yeah, right.
4 years.
Since 2014, yeah.
Right. And you want to use our system because we're maximally compatible. The code change, the porting process won't be a pain. Now, there will be changes because we are asynchronous. So it's a message-driven asynchronous architecture. So
break that down from 12. Asynchronous means...
Okay. So that means... historically, when we issue a function call, when I make a call for something to happen, I have to wait for the result to finish before I can execute the other steps, right? So I have a program that says do A, do B, do C, do D. I can't do B or C or D until A finishes, right? So I got to wait for the result of the function call to A to return. So asynchronous basically means you don't have to wait for A to finish executing. You can go on to B and C, D. Now, if you need the result from A at any point of time, there's another way to get it. It's called a message-driven architecture. But in short, it's basically a way of making a program run faster, to have multiple threads happening with the program without having to wait on a certain line of code to complete. So anyway, but to make that happen, to take advantage of that feature, there will be some code change in your existing Solidity program. And that is the part that needs to change. It's like if you wrote a piece of program that runs, right, as a smart contract, it works perfect on Ethereum.
Right.
Now you say, I want to run on VITE.
Right.
But you also want to take advantage of the architecture where you don't have to wait for every single previous line to finish before you execute the next line, right? Then there will be some code changes that need to take place.
So it's backwards compatible, yet it's also forward compatible?
So it's not completely backwards compatible. It's backward compatible in the sense that, so basically functions no longer, I guess it depends on the way we put it together. But I guess the short version is if you want to take advantage of the asynchronous feature, then your code needs to be changed. So most likely, yes, your code needs to be changed, but we'll have a porting guide, and hopefully the code change won't be too much, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
Okay, so I guess some of the questions that I also saw here, what are some of the biggest challenges you guys have?
I see. I think there are a few. Number one is we want to basically get DApps, right, distributed applications to run on our system. But because we have a fairly long development timeline, we are kind of racing against time to get to a point where people can start using our system, right? So that basically means speeding up the pace for development, finding the right amount of engineers. There's something called the man-moon. What's it called? The man-month. The man-month miracle. So basically, the idea in IT is that there are certain problems where if you double the amount of engineers, you don't shrink the time by half. And that's the case here. So even if we were to hire a lot of engineers, the timeline would shrink.
I see.
So it's kind of so I think that's a major challenge for us, because we want to do something that's difficult, and we need applications to take advantage of our protocol, our infrastructure, but we can't get there very quickly.
Right.
Although we're trying to move in that direction, I think that's probably one of the major challenges.
Okay, well, good things take time, right?
Yeah.
So good things take time, and quality over everything. So Paulin Bay says, we're gonna take questions now. Why did you leave Scratch? What's Scratch?
Yeah, so Scratch is my previous startup. Is that Colin? Did you say Colin? Because Colin's the guy that I used to work with. That's funny.
Oh, yeah, so he's calling you out.
Yeah,
Colin is calling you out.
Hey, Colin, just to let you know, it's all because of you. No, it's not him.
Oh, he left you? Oh.
No. So a couple of reasons. I think the most important one is because, I got introduced to VITE by a friend of mine. His name is Daniel Wang. He is the founder of Loopring, arguably the most successful decentralized crypto exchange protocol coming out of China. And he introduced me to the CEO. He was a longtime friend and colleague of the CEO. He was a longtime personal friend of mine and my family. And I was introduced to the world of blockchain, and I thought it's a very exciting thing. It's a very exciting field. And also I get to work with people in China, which I've never done before. So that's another, I guess, dimension of me I have yet to explore. So that would be why.
Okay, cool. And who are some of your, as I read up there, who are some of your strongest partners? So your most important partners by that?
Right. So Loopring is definitely a key one. As I was mentioning, Daniel is a close friend and a strategic advisor. Separately, we have a few partnerships we are exploring in different stages. For one of them, it's a major Chinese institution. We're already established. We're already doing business transactions with each other, and we will be announcing that when that other party is ready to announce.
Okay.
Separately from that, we're also doing active BD with other companies, both in the US and in China.
Okay, great. Kashish says, are you sacrificing security, decentralization for speed in any way, as is generally believed for any blockchain solution? I do see that's a good question, because in the past, as you sacrifice scalability, as you scale more, security goes down. Right. So that's why Bitcoin is so secure, because it's so slow. Right. You can't really scale with it, but it's very secure.
So that's a good question. I think that different systems are designed with different purposes in mind. So it's almost like if you want to design a sports car, then it has a very different set of design requirements than if you want to design like an SUV, right? Mm-hmm. So the reason why you would want a sports car is very different from the reason why you want this SUV, and that's why they look so different, and the technology that goes into them is so different. So for us, performance is a very important metric. Mm-hmm. So I would concede that there are arguments about how DPoS, any kind of delegated proof of X system is not the most, is definitely faster. It definitely has that performance metric to it, but it definitely sacrifices a little bit on the security side. Mm-hmm. I would just say that there are certain transactions that are there are certain transactions that make sense with our infrastructure. There might be other transactions. Let's say you're buying, I don't know, a house or something, and it's a huge amount. It takes days to deliberate, and you don't need it to happen so quick. The transaction, you can wait. It takes you a month to decide if you want to buy a house. You can wait 10 minutes for the transaction to go through, right? And you want it to be highly secure and so on. So for something like that, then maybe the existing infrastructure would be okay. If you're trying to buy coffee from Starbucks, you probably wouldn't want to take 10 minutes.
Yeah, I probably want to right now. I need that coffee.
right, exactly. So I would say it really depends on the purpose of your system.
Okay, cool. And then let's jump into tokens. Somebody said, what is your cap? And how many are you, are you guys, what's the circulating supply? How do you come up with that number? How many are you going to have total?
So we have, so everything's actually on Bitcoin Talk, and it's pinned to our announcement channel. The link is pinned to our announcement channel. But we're doing 60,000 hard cap, and the private sale is effectively closed at this point. And so we basically did some math around our R&D budget, and we also kind of took a page out of the amount being raised by other blockchain companies and looked at ones that made sense and looked at ones that are comparable and decided on that number. I know that there are some other DAG-based, actually there's another DAG-based project that raised a huge amount of money, and but we didn't see the need for that, so we didn't go down that path.
Okay, cool. Is there a bounty for social media?
Yeah, so we are definitely considering that. I think it's a balance. It's a battle between getting us, getting more awareness, and also having meaningful connections with people, right? Because I know that there are bounty hunters out there that would just like, I don't know how to do it, but generate like page views or likes that are not real somehow, and or they spam people. Bots, they do bots that like fake like you or something. Yeah. So and we really want to reserve our tokens for people that genuinely care about us. And to be honest with you, we're actually going to launch a program for good ideas for airdrop. meaning it's like one level deeper, right? So instead of saying this is how we're going to do it, we are going to say, hey, tell us how we should do it, and then we're going to reward you for a good idea.
So you're taking like suggestions, which is collaborative, that's quite different in the space. What made you decide to be more collaborative from the community instead of kind of following your own path?
I just think there's a lot of smart people out there, and then there's and the thing is that there's a lot of young people, and they have these crazy ideas, and I think we want to encourage that, because sometimes some crazy ideas turn out to be great. I don't know. I just don't think we have all the answers. So I think we need to engage everybody.
It's great. I really like how you guys are humble, and how you guys are willing to take suggestions, because there's a lot of people out there that probably won't.
Yeah, I'd admit we're humble, but I don't think it's so. It's humble to do so. So it's not a. But thank you.
Yeah. Cool. So any more questions, guys? Oh, do you hire?
Yeah. We're actually looking for help we're looking for help in Silicon Valley office for the following roles. It could be just one person wearing multiple hats. It could be multiple people. So like content management. Content marketing. Content management, content marketing, community management, business development, and marketing campaign design, implementation, and execution. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you address the issue of regulatory compliance? Does VITE have a business plan and a business model?
Yeah, so I think from a compliance perspective, one reason why we're not doing a crowd sale actually is kind of one thought was that a lot of these ICOs, maybe they were not structured correctly, maybe for some other, maybe they were marketed too aggressively. But in any case, we wanted to kind of avoid that, going down that route. So that would be one way for us to stay compliant. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Your business model.
Oh, yes.
Business model, and so, is this going to be following the law?
Yes.
Which law, I guess? Common law?
Well,
human law?
Right. So the idea is for us to make something useful, right? So we're hopefully creating something that people will be using to write apps on, that will be high performing, that will allow people to do smart contracts. And so our whole model is to make something useful and then get rewarded from the fact that it is useful, right? If it's useful, then more people will need the tokens. And if more people are into the tokens, then we do well.
Okay, great answer. Can we make, so Cowork says, can we make an MMO on the VITE blockchain to distribute airdrop?
So I'm not sure what MMO stands for, but I suppose when at the point when we're ready to be able to issue, when people are ready to use our system to issue tokens, because Loopring is going to be a protocol that we will have built in, so people can issue tokens, can trade tokens, and so on. And at the point where people can issue tokens, I suppose that's when they can do airdrops with the tokens through our system. We can't do that right now, though.
He said it's a massively multiplayer online game.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of cool. Like if you're playing like League of Legends and you open up a treasure chest, there's some VITE tokens in there.
Yeah. No, that's next month. That's what we're doing. No.
What? I'm in. I don't even play games, but I'm getting for that.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, cool. Last question. 2 questions. So, do you have any plans for exchanges to list this on?
Yes. So we'll actually release some news about exchanges this week. And we're in active conversation with multiple very high-profile exchanges right now.
Are you allowed to say or no?
So we will be releasing some information about one of the exchanges this week.
You want to give us what is this? What's the first letter?
It's I'll give it away. Sorry, I can't say. Well, just follow our channel, right? We'll say it. We'll release it.
Okay.
Just not right.
I tried, guys. I really tried.
Yeah.
All right. So, last question: are there any real use cases right now that are out that you can refer to, or any future use cases where I would use this over whatever I'm using now? My buddy Jonathan over here, he works in traditional. He uses Hadoop every day. 400.
Yeah.
He manages 400 people. They're moving large data systems, and so that's a very large. That's a real use case. That's his real job, and this is why he's able to live here, and we can drink this. Nice. So, what are some real use cases that are out that that we can apply the blockchain to in the real world?
Yeah, so that's always the challenge with blockchain companies, right? Because so far the most popular apps have been like CryptoKitties and things of that nature. So a couple of things. We are actively exploring the payment space. So I think as cryptocurrencies become more popular, there will be this movement towards, can I pay with my cryptocurrency, right? I want to move some money from A to B. Can I just do so with a non-fiat? So that's definitely something we're looking at. And then in general, given my background, we're looking at financial technology. So one of the partners that I mentioned that we are already doing business transactions with is actually a financial institution. I just can't say the name right now yet.
What does it start with? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
It starts with the.
The.
Yeah. That really narrows it down.
Bank.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. I was gonna call that one the last one, but how do you plan to make the ICO for common people? How can regular investors, non-accredited or from different countries or from here or all around the world, how can they get into this project?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of hype associated with crowd sale. Crowd sales tend to generate something called FOMO, fear of missing out. So you limit the amount that people can buy, and then people end up buying more and so on, right? But the issue with that is you tend to attract a lot of people that just don't care about the token, that just assume it's going to do well and buy it and then dump it. Right. So we're trying to get people to really understand what we're doing, to really contribute to the community and help us grow. And therefore, so I think the best way to get involved is to actively participate in these sessions. So for example, today we're doing a raffle. So the fact that you participated in the AMA, that will help you have a chance of winning some tokens. The rules are actually in the Google form that we announced on our Telegram announcement channel. So make sure you check that out. Yeah, so we're going to close out that Google form soon, like after the AMA is over.
Okay, so I understand now why you guys are doing it. At first, I wasn't really too sure. I thought you guys were just airdropping to kind of do promotion. But if it is to actually gain interest from people who are actually really interested in the project or long-term following, and you want to choose who you give it to by being very selective, by choosing people that actually will not dump it, then I do see a use case in that.
Right. So Yeah, and then so we did an AMA with Crypto Zombie a few days ago.
Yep. I watched that. I talked to him already.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
And then we'll have a few more, actually many more of these. But then this is only one form of getting our tokens. There will be other plans being announced. So be patient, and you will find other ways to gain access to our coins.
Cool. All right. So that is it. We have about maybe 4 minutes left. So maybe I just want to go back out to kind of some general questions, such as what kind of music do you like?
Oh man. I like rap. I mean, I
like rap too. All right.
I like Hamilton. I mean, I don't know if that counts as rap, really.
Hamilton's the musical?
The musical, yes.
Hey,
so big fan.
New Nas album produced by Kanye West. Good, 7 songs. Anyways.
Yeah. I like classical. What? I like rap too. Yeah. So great.
Rock.
I like a variety. I like classical music. I play the piano.
Oh, you play piano?
Yeah. Amateurishly though.
Very Asian.
Yeah, no, you have to. Otherwise, you get spanked, right?
Right, Tiger Moms.
Didn't you have to do that? So.
Yeah, I had to learn. Yeah. I played the drums.
Okay, that's a lot cooler.
They hated me. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like a wide range, I would say.
Okay. Machine Gun Kelly is good too. I went to his house actually in LA. Anyways, I did. He's a cool guy. What's your favorite food?
I like Japanese food actually a lot.
Okay.
So little known fact, or maybe it's a widely known fact, but the Japanese are the longest living people.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with their diet, right? It tends to be in small portion, but it's like nutritious. It's I guess I don't know. It's a very balanced diet in terms of the food pyramid.
Sorry, he said goiza. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. No fried stuff for me though. So,
no fried stuff. Okay, all right. So this is the last question. I promise, guys. This is it. So as you know, I like to surround myself with. You want to be so my uncle, he just retired and he's in the band. He said you want to be the worst player in the band all the time because you're surrounded by people that are better than you, right?
Okay.
So as someone who is a COO of a company that could be worth multi-millions or multi-billions, what is some advice you can give to our viewers, some habits, some routines, something that you do every day, or do you do like a vision board? You know what I'm saying? How can you help these guys, inspire them to reach their goals? Let's say they want to start a beat project one day. What's your advice to them?
Okay. Well, first of all, I really appreciate the kind words. I don't see myself as like someone, whose advice is like gold, right? But I have worked quite a bit, right? And I've had many jobs and I've had a career. So I would say, and obviously a lot of the participants might be younger than me. So maybe I am at a position to give out some advice.
Wisdom is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Yep.
I don't know. So I would say make plans and be realistic, maybe. So making plans, these all sound simple and cliche-ish, but
that's fine.
I don't think, so I think it's important to basically have goals that you think that you can attain, right? So maybe this works for different people. For me, for example, I used to have these really lofty goals, but then I don't think about ways to actually get to them. And then, what's that?
I have very lofty goals. I have no idea. Gio is always like, how are you going to do that? Or my cousins was like, how are you going to do that?
I think to an extent it's actually important because if you only have very small goals, then you end up only achieving small goals, right? So I think it's good to have long-term goals or dreams or purposes. But if you don't have a concrete plan that's realistic and that you can stick to, then it ends up just being like a cat chasing its own tail, right? Like you can never really get it.
Right.
So for me, I think it was important to have goals, but also important to have concrete plans to try to get to them. And you can plan them out by the year, by the month, by the week, right? So the more specific.
Is that what you do? Do you do weekly goals plus monthly goals?
Yeah,
plus...
I do like weekly goals, but to be honest, I'm not very disciplined about it. I know people that are very good with delayed gratification, right? So, and they're very disciplined. So they say, okay, every Monday at this time, I'm going to sit down and run my goals, and then during the week, I'm going to reflect. I'm going to, compare to see where I'm at. I don't do any of that. So, but I do.
At least you're honest. This is very honest.
Right. So you guys should be asking those people. But I think it's important to. But what I do though is that I do set those goals once in a while. I just don't tell myself when I need to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So they tend to fall on a 2-week sort of rhythm.
Got it. Okay, so 2 weeks, and you heard it here first, guys. So that's it. Do you have any final questions for us, for the audience? Anything you'd like to regard? Any final statements?
I just want to say thank you guys for all your support. We're always available at our Telegram channel. I know you guys, some of you might have been staying up to watch this, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully we have more exciting announcements to share with the community.
Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you for participating in this, and we will be in touch.
Thank you, and thank you, sir. Thank you, Nathan.
Always a pleasure. 廣東話一定一齊講㗎嘛。
Of course，當然。